Have you ever wondered why HR in one company can feel like a totally different planet compared to another? Well, we're about to dive deep into that because the answer is honestly fascinating and it pulls back the curtain on the hidden forces that shape every single workplace you'll ever be in. I mean, it's a question you've probably felt, right? Why does a tech startup have beanbag chairs and unlimited vacation, while a government office has these rigid pay scales and super strict procedures? They're both just managing people, so why the huge difference? Well, I promise you, it's not random. There's a really powerful logic at play here. So to get a handle on this, let's use a simple analogy. Just picture every organization as a ship. The way it's run, how it hires, pays, and manages its crew, is basically determined by two big things. The vast, unpredictable ocean it's sailing on, which we're going to call the outer context, and the unique mix of its captain, crew, and mission, which is its inner context. All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at the two worlds HR has to live in. Then we'll explore those external pressures and the company's internal DNA. After that, we'll see the kinds of strategic tensions this all creates. And finally, we'll look at how this is shaping the future of work for all of us. Okay, let's start with the big picture. You have to understand that every single decision HR makes is a balancing act between two really powerful and often competing worlds. So on one side, you've got the outer context. These are the big, uncontrollable forces like the economy, politics, and technology that every single company has to deal with. Then on the other side, you have the inner context. That's the unique DNA of the organization itself. This whole framework, by the way, is known as the Warwick model of HRM, and it basically says that great HR is all about mastering the constant dance between these two worlds. First, let's look outside the ship, at that big, wild ocean, the outer context. These are the powerful currents that are pushing every organization around, whether they like it or not. The economy alone dictates so much. I mean, is there a huge supply of workers or a massive shortage? That right there completely changes how hard a company has to fight for good people. Things like national income and inflation, they set the baseline for what you have to pay people just so they can keep up. These aren't just suggestions for HR. They are hard, non-negotiable economic realities. And then you've got all the political and legal stuff. These are the rules of the sea. Governments create this framework you can't ignore, with laws on absolutely everything, from minimum wage and workplace safety to anti-discrimination policies. You don't get to pick and choose which ones you follow. They literally define the boundaries your HR department has to operate within. And of course, you've got the constant churn of technology and demographics. New tech can make a job way more interesting, or it can just get rid of it completely. At the same exact time, the workforce itself is changing. It's more educated, more mobile, and way more diverse than it used to be, which has led to the rise of what we call the knowledge worker. These are huge external shifts that HR has to constantly react to. Okay, so we've seen the ocean. Now let's bring our focus back on board the ship to the inner context. This is the unique DNA of the organization, the internal forces that make it totally different from any other company out there. So inside the company, HR is shaped by its specific mission. Is the main goal rapid growth, or is it steady, predictable profit? That one choice changes everything. The presence of trade unions, well, that creates a much more formal way of dealing with employees. And then there's the big one, organizational culture. The unwritten rules and shared beliefs that really define how we do things around here. This is a perfect example. These two quotes show exactly how a company's core philosophy directly shapes its people's strategy. Tata's culture of get the best people and set them free is going to lead to a very different HR system than Reliance's focus on value for time. Look, neither one is better or worse, they're just fundamentally different because their internal DNA is different. So what happens when the forces of the outer context smash up against the DNA of the inner context? Well, you get tension. You get a series of really challenging paradoxes that good, strategic HR has to constantly manage. This is where the real work of HR actually happens. First, you've got this tension between fit and flexibility. On one hand, you want an HR system that is perfectly tailored, a perfect fit for your current business strategy. But the external world is constantly changing, right? So you also need the flexibility to adapt, to change course on a dime without the whole system just falling apart. Next up is the classic paradox of commitment versus control. Do you design your HR systems to empower employees, to trust them and build loyalty, or do you focus on control with strict rules and supervision to make sure everything is efficient and to minimize risk?
The truth is, most companies need a bit of both. But man, finding that sweet spot is incredibly tough.
And then there's this one, differentiation versus integration. In this war for talent we're always hearing about, it makes a lot of sense to treat your star players differently. Give them better pay, special projects, all the perks. But how do you do that without totally wrecking the sense of a unified, integrated team culture? Rewarding the few can really alienate the many. It is a constant tightrope walk. And this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a huge challenge that top researchers have identified. As this quote points out, for a long time, even the academics tended to focus on just one side of the tension. Commitment or control, fit or flexibility. But in the real world, businesses don't get that choice. They have to manage both sides of these tensions at the same time, all the time. Okay, so how does this whole framework help us make sense of what's happening right now? Let's connect these big ideas to the real data-driven trends that are defining the future of work. Take this number, 81%. That's the projected share of companies that are going to be using a hybrid work model. This is not just a passing trend. This is our framework in action. A massive external shock, the pandemic, forced a fundamental change to internal policy. And now, pretty much every company is wrestling with that core tension between giving employees flexibility and making sure managers can maintain control. Or how about the massive growth in DEI? This is a perfect storm of external social pressures and an internal drive to build a more integrated, fair culture. That projected market size of $15.4 billion, that's not just a number. It represents a huge investment that organizations are making to try and navigate these super complex internal and external demands for fairness and belonging. And as we look ahead, every single major trend forces HR to face these tensions head-on. Is generative AI going to be used for more control or for more employee commitment? Will people analytics help us differentiate talent better, or will it help us build a more integrated culture? Every new tool, every new demand, it all comes back to that same delicate balancing act. So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Effective HR isn't about choosing a side. It's not commitment or control. It's not fit or flexibility. It's about being a master strategist, someone who is constantly adjusting and finding the right balance between the powerful currents of the outside world and the unique character of your own ship. And that leaves us with one last big question for the future. As artificial intelligence starts to manage more and more HR tasks, is it going to be the ultimate tool to help us balance these contexts? Or is its obsession with optimization going to create entirely new, totally unforeseen tensions for the workplaces of tomorrow? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.